What's up, guys? So new episode of Between the Ears is with Cody Laurendi. If you guys aren't familiar with him, he is a goalkeeper for the OKC Energy. He's played in the USL for about 10 years now. Big time guy, great personality. He tells a little bit about his trials and tribulations across his 10 years, multiple big time injuries, and just a lot of knowledge about how to recover from those injuries and how to bounce back. I titled it, patience, perseverance, persistence, and I think that is exactly what he embodies. And I'm super excited for you guys to hear this episode because whether you're going through an injury or you haven't become the starter for your team yet, this is important information and reminders to keep you guys going on that path and to keep you guys persistent on your journey. Once again, guys, this is Between the Ears with Cody Laurendi. Let's get into it. All right, guys. So we are back with another segment of Between the Ears. This time, I am humbly honored to bring in Cody Laurendi. Cody is not just one of the greatest USL goalkeepers, but at the same time, just a great human being. Cody, thanks for being on, man.
Hey, Omar, thank you for having me, man.
It seems like since a young age, you've kind of known that you wanted to be a professional goalkeeper. And whether it's from college and then from there, you went to Belgium at a young age. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened in Belgium for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't the predictable path, if you will, to get to the professional game. I spent 1 year. I spent my freshman season at a junior college playing, and then I was afforded the opportunity to go abroad, which I took full advantage of. I was there for a little over 2 years, going to school at the same time as playing. And it was such a unique opportunity because at that age I was, let's see, 18, 19 years of age. So yeah, I was leaving home for the first time, and I'm originally from Florida, from Central Florida. So
Yeah.
even something as simple as a winter, I've never really experienced the proper winter. Different monetary system, obviously different language, all these things, just to kind of go and follow a passion, um, from a fairly early age was pretty unique. So I spent 2 years there. Really kind of understood what it was going to take to be a professional, and you definitely find out who wants it versus who just likes the idea of being a professional, because there are downtimes. There are times where you miss your family. I missed Thanksgivings. I've missed Christmases, birthdays. All those things. Um, and that, I'll be honest with you, that kind of sucked. And you kind of learn to not take those things for granted. But as long as, and I have a great support system around me with my family, where they kind of, in the moment it was tough, but we kind of all collectively agreed that this is my passion, and they're going to help me and be as supportive to me, following my dreams as they possibly could. But yeah, I was there for 2 years. Had a lot of really great experiences. Met a lot of really great guys. Some people that I still keep in contact to this day. Um, and we were put in the uncomfortable positions. I think we talked about this when we were in Tucson. Is that um, you really don't know much about yourself until you handle the adversity. And obviously being away from home, but being in a locker room with grown men who, this is their livelihood, and it's not just we play soccer for enjoyment, but these guys are making it's a means to an end for them.
Yeah.
That was a very unique and very eye-opening experience from an early age.
I'm sure, man. And so to preface my next question,
Yeah.
I watched a video of you, and a quote that you gave, which I think will resonate with a lot of people, is that
I think if you receive something very quick without having to work for it and earn it, I think it's very easy to take that for granted and for it to leave you very fast. But if you sit on the bench, if you earn it 6, 7 years, when you do receive the opportunity to play and be a starter, I think you appreciate it a lot more and you hold on to it.
and I think that it speaks on your journey to the pros and path to the pro, and especially a lot of young goalkeepers out there, and field players as well, who are trying to play at the next level. So can you just give me a little bit of a background of your early days as a professional after Belgium, what you kind of did from there?
Absolutely. So I'll just touch on it briefly. In Belgium, I was the number two for the entirety of my stay there. Probably got a handful of games. So I moved on from Belgium. Went to actually went to an open tryout, and at the time, the Puerto Rico Islanders were still around. So I went to an open tryout, paid my own way, and then I was chosen. I was given the opportunity to come into preseason and earn a contract. This was prior to the 2010 season. Spent 3 years with them after securing a contract as the backup. After the third season around Christmas, find out that the team is going to be folding. Yeah, so that in itself was an interesting time as well. A lot of guys that I was teammates with at that time, wound up retiring from the sport, because at that time in 2010, the opportunities were few and far between to be on a professional roster. And then from Puerto Rico, went back into preseason with the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. I earned a contract through preseason, and I want to say we were probably about 5 or 6 games into the season where I got the start. Definitely didn't come in as a starter, but earned a starting position.
Yeah.
And within the first 30 minutes, suffer a lacerated kidney in a collision with the attacker. So close to 7 years of 6-7 years of hard graft, and kind of doing everything in my power to even make the 18, whether that be extra work or constant availability to your teammates, just to sit on the bench, if you will.
Yeah.
And you finally get that breakthrough opportunity. Unfortunately, it resulted in an injury, but it was definitely a time where it took so long to achieve. There was a bit of confirmation, like, okay, I belong, I can do it. Somebody values what I bring to the table professionally. And even though it resulted in an injury, it still kind of gave me a little bit more motivation to push through.
Yeah, and so after you come back from the injury, so you have lacerated kidney and you're out for, I'd say you said 10 months, correct?
Yeah, about 10 months. I had one of those in my kidney. I had a plastic tube and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was not fun. It was not fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing too. I mean, I personally went through an ACL injury, and when I was done with that, in my head, I said, you know what, I feel like I'm done. My body won't be the same. But I'm sure for you, 10 months, it's not just the physical rehab; it's also a psychological aspect as well. So after
Without a
those,
doubt.
yeah, well, after those 10 months, you actually pay your own way to another trial, correct? In California, is that how it
That's
went down?
correct. That's correct. Yeah, this is early-ish days of Twitter. I follow Carlos Bocanegra, and Carlos is promoting at the time. I don't know if he still has this. Obviously, I know he's in a front office position with Atlanta, but in Upland, California, he was promoting a 3-day training camp at his indoor facility, with the opportunity to be seen by LA Galaxy scouts and Chivas USA, who was still around at the time, scouts. So I think he was offering it for like $100. Now, mind you, I'm in Florida. I'm in Melbourne, Florida. So, it's not going to be cheap. I pay for a cross country flight, a hotel, and my own rental car to go out there.
Wow.
And it was one of the best decisions I made, because I actually, I'd say about 30 guys who were there, I was probably one of 3 or 4 guys with any professional experience. So go out there. I get introduced to a guy by the name of Dave Cameraman, who worked for the LA Galaxy as a scout at the time. He saw me, and actually through a friend of mine, a guy by the name of Dan Kennedy, who was a quality goalkeeper for many years for MLS. He was Chivas USA's goalkeeper at the time, so he was out there as well. He kind of vouched for me a little bit, and then on that Sunday, I was invited back the next week to an invite-only combine for LA Galaxy 2, who at the time hadn't been announced as a squad just yet, because this was prior to 2014. This was the preseason going into the 2014 season.
Gotcha.
So of course, this is fantastic. So I actually land in Melbourne, or land in Orlando, that Sunday evening. basically repack my bags, and I'm on a flight back to LA on Monday. I want to say Monday morning. So I'm training with them second week in a row out in LA. Invite only combine. They like what they see, and they invite me back for a third weekend. So I've essentially, at the end of this, I've essentially flown cross country, 2 full times, and on the third time, I get a call as I land, as I get back home to Melbourne from Bruce Arena, and Bruce invites me into preseason with the first team.
Wow.
So talk about things coming full circle. A year passes, and I'm getting a call from Bruce Arena, whereas the year prior, I'm in a hospital bed because of an injury. So it's proof positive of, as cliche as it sounds, it's tough times don't last, tough people do.
Yeah. And so from there, you end up playing, I'd say, 19 games with the Galaxy Twos. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
so I was actually, it's interesting how football and just life in general works. I was actually a beneficiary of an injury to the third choice goalkeeper at the time, and kind of moved me in to the starting role for Galaxy 2.
Wow.
So definitely took advantage of my opportunity. Like you said, I had 19 games. Learned
You
a
guys finished
ton.
third in the league.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
good season.
We wound up losing to Sacramento in the playoffs, but between Sacramento and Orlando City that year, they were the two best teams. Orlando City wound up losing, I think, to Harrisburg at the time, who came on strong at the end, and then Harrisburg eventually lost to Sacramento. But again, always grateful to the Galaxy, and getting to be in that situation, that those around those great players. Even better, most of the time during the week, I was able to be called up with the first team to train.
Wow.
Obviously, it was in a role of a lot of times you're cannon fodder, if you will, for Juninho and Robbie Keane and Landon. But just a grateful for the experience, grateful for the opportunity, and definitely tried to maximize my time there.
For sure. And then from there, you go to the Austin Aztecs.
Yes.
2015, you play 13 games for them. So, little by little, you're obviously coming back from the injury, back to 100%, and you're strengthening your resume for other teams as well. And so
Yes.
from there, now we move into your OKC Energy days, where
Yes.
you are currently the starting goalkeeper and have been probably a fan favorite of theirs, because almost every piece of content I find on OKC is you either interviewing somebody or you being interviewed by somebody.
Yeah.
So take me through that though. So obviously, almost full circle now, and now you have a chance to establish yourself as the number one for a great organization like OKC. So kind of take me through your early days with them, and
For sure.
yeah, go ahead.
For sure. So Austin Aztecs, not the rebrand, not the new team that's playing this year.
Yeah.
The Austin Aztecs we were around for one season. It was an interesting season, to say the least. We were dealing with a lot of bad weather. Our field was destroyed. A bunch of different things, a bunch of different factors were against us. So left Austin, came home back to Florida in the off season, and actually received a call from Jimmy Nielsen, and who was at the time the head coach of the Energy. Now, Jimmy, in his own right, was a fantastic keeper. He actually won the league in 2013 with Sporting Kansas City.
He did, yeah.
And Omar, when I tell you, it meant the world to me to hear somebody say, "You're our guy." That was one phone call that I don't think I'll ever forget professionally, because coming from someone like him, who's done it at a very high level for a very long time and is respected as he is, for him to, again, put his faith in me and say that, hey, what you offer, what you bring to the table, we value, was something that I was so excited to be a part of. So that was in 2016. Was 2016?
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah. Made the move to OKC. Definitely didn't know what to expect. But playing there the year prior with Austin, it was a fantastic atmosphere. They were one of the better teams in the league that year. They actually made it to the conference semis. So knowing that you're going into a team that's already competitive, it was super exciting. So start my first year there, and that I kind of consider that the first year as a starter, if you will,
Yeah.
where I'm the guy, and still have to earn it day in and day out, but their trust is placed in me. So started that year. We did fairly well. Made it to the playoffs, which is obviously it's becoming more and more difficult in this league with more and more quality opponents. And it's been such an awesome experience ever since. So this is my fourth season, starting my fourth season with the team, and honestly, I can't see myself anywhere else.
I know we kind of glossed over this, but September 2017, I want to bring it up just because, another injury, unfortunately, that, holds you out for a
Yes.
few, if not a few months, almost a year. You pay your dues, get yourself, open trials, you get to the Galaxy. And then from there, now you're at OKC where you're, the number one. Coach has, created an environment for you where it's like validation that all your hard work has paid off. And from there, it seems like, all sunshine and rainbows. But unfortunately, there was a through ball that comes through. I think I forget who you guys were playing against, but it was a through ball.
We were playing against Reno.
I'm sure you remember. So,
yeah, I remember that. I remember.
Well, through ball, you come out, and unfortunately, your knee gives, and it was they compared it to a car accident, correct? Like it's called the dashboard.
Correct,
injuries.
because of the way that the knee receives the trauma. It actually goes, ACLs go out to the side.
Mm-hmm.
Other knee injuries they either buckle or go out to the away from the body. Mine is actually pushed back. So if you could imagine, without being too graphic, if you're in a car accident and you're in the passenger seat, getting hit by the dashboard. So yeah, basically full PCL tear, partial meniscus, partial MCL, and partial popliteus, which is a small muscle that runs behind the back of your knee. Had surgery to fix the PCL, and like you said, it kept me out close to a year. As it kind of worked itself out, there was a coaching change that took place. Jimmy moved on, and Coach Steve Cook was hired on here. And it was, I'll tell you what, last year was definitely a trying year in the sense of the uncertainty that I faced.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one because you want to. I obviously took the perspective of, okay, I'm going to show what good aspects or attributes that I can bring to the team, so this coach will want to keep me. But at the same time, trying to make sure I get as healthy as possible and not rush back.
Exactly.
So that was definitely an interesting and trying time, but it's all worked out up until this point. I was able to make my debut last year towards the end of the season. I was able to get 10 games under my belt with the squad, and I was able to get a handful of international matches as well. So you talk about both ends of the spectrum again. It's the kind of the same idea that I faced with coming off the injury and then receiving a phone call from Bruce Arena the year after. So I experienced a bad bit of luck, and then towards the end of the season last year, I was in a good groove. I was in a good flow state, if you will, professionally, and I received an offer from the team to stay on here for another 2 years.
Yeah, man. I think for me, it just, following your career now and kind of seeing the things you've had to go through, the ups and downs. And even for me, man, I have my ACL injury, and a lot of other people have, similar injuries that when they're sitting in a hospital bed or they're sitting rehabbing, they just think, man, I'd kill to be out there again, but will it be the same? And they,
Exactly.
Inactivity leads to insecurity. And especially when you come back from an injury, you're always thinking, you're always trying to, psych yourself into it. But really, when you don't have much to do, you're just sitting there thinking about all the negative things that could happen when you go back out there and things like that. So I know you're a busy man, but, the last few pieces of advice for young kids who are either going through an injury or struggling to find a professional team, Any words of advice for them to kind of help them stick into it and persevere like you did?
Of course, yeah. So I'll start off with, if they're struggling to find a team, or to stay on somewhere. First of all, it's important to go where you're appreciated. So even if that means you have to drop down a level, even if that means maybe you have to travel a little bit, even if it means you have to, financially pay your dues. Um, all those things I think are important. We have a finite amount of years to be goalkeepers, to be athletic, and to play at a high level. So I would, in my opinion, I would say, hey, bet on yourself. And then, as far as if you are dealing with an injury, take it one day at a time. Small incremental victories lead to the bigger picture. That's something that I kind of, has a little bit of a mantra that I took in this last injury, was 1% better every day. And what that meant, that literally meant for me in the early days of the rehab process, was just a slight, like, I would say 3 or 4% change in um, ability to bend my knee. So it's not like nothing drastic, but one, if I can get slightly better, we're talking right now on a Wednesday evening. If I can get slightly better today on Wednesday than I was Thursday, think about the snowball effect of that. Come 6, 7, 8 months from now.
Yeah.
I've had teammates, and I've had colleagues that they put this hard when they're going through an injury. They'll put oh, I'm going to be back in 6 months, or I'm going to be back in 8 months. I don't necessarily think that's healthy. And I think that might actually lead to a little bit more stress in terms of how you recover. Because in all honesty, sometimes, everybody's body's different, so it heals differently. And to put the added stress that if you don't hit your goal, then that's some sort of failure. I think that's kind of silly. So I definitely took the approach of 1% better every day, and then it adds up, and then at the end of it, you come in strong. You come in, firing on all cylinders. And the term that you used, the phrase was, inactivity leads to insecurity.
Yeah.
If I flip that, I'd say a lot of my confidence, a lot of everybody's confidence when you're coming back from an injury, comes from the amount of work that you put in. So if you are in a situation, and let me, for the record, I found myself in a fantastic situation with our goalkeeper coach here, Alexi Vizarellis, who
Good dude.
yeah, great guy. And we all got to hang out and chat for a while back in Tucson, but he definitely, we were all on the same page. He helped me immensely. So I'm forever, grateful for him. And that included, starting earlier than everybody and finishing later than everybody. There was definitely some physical things that I wasn't able to do at first, but slowly but surely you're able to do a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. It's just patience, and you said listening to your body, understanding, taking the proper steps, and don't take any shortcuts, because at the end of the day, you can find yourself back in that hospital bed if you take a shortcut or you force yourself back. You got to be selfish, because you don't want to like tell people you're going to be back, and it's like an ego thing if you're not back by a certain time and someone else got back before you. When really
Exactly.
you got to be selfish with yourself and listen to your body. And it sounds like, from what I've been hearing from you and what I've been seeing from you this season, everything's kind of piecing together. And I pray that you stay healthy. Pray that you guys continue to have great success with OKC and you in your personal life and your career as well. Cody, this has been awesome, man. I really do appreciate you coming on with Between the Ears here. It's one of our best segments for sure. If anybody wants to find you on social media or, reach out to you about your story, where can they find you?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, thank you again for your time, Omar. As always, it's really, really enjoyable to talk to you, and I really appreciate that you show interest in the journey.
Oh, yeah.
Secondly, Twitter, C Laurendi, Laurend as in David, 23. And then on Instagram, Cody Laurendi, Laurend as in David, I like to be pretty responsive with people who reach out with questions. I like to think I'm an open book, and I want to help people progress in their own careers, in their own lives. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Love to continue the dialogue with any questions that anybody may have.
All right, Cody. Appreciate you coming on, man. Have a good one.
You too.